see the way they hate. And I know better than to listen to the people who are calling us slaves. I can feel the sunlight shining.
Well, good morning. It's Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024, and welcome to episode 791 of the Lots Project Morning Show, where the coffee's strong, the opinions are stronger, and everything's always filter-free. I'm Brian, your host, and today I'm enjoying a Silver Bullet blend from foodforestfarms.com, where you get 10% off with discount code LOTS10, LOTS10, and the shipping's always free. While you're there, check out C4 Club and all the awesome benefits you get when you roll into C4. Foodforestfarms.com is where you're going to find some of the best coffee you can find on the interwebs. Today, I will be talking about a hazard you might not think about, stemming from a conversation in a Telegram group about the Hurricane Helene recovery effort in North Carolina. Watching some more Canadians on TV. I just can't get away from them. I can't stay away from those shows with those crazy Canadians on them. And I fell for a little clickbait yesterday and a little bit more, depending on what we get to today. Hopefully everybody's having a great morning. It's hump day. It's Wednesday. And let's hit the live chat, see who's hanging out, and we will chat for about an hour. Oh, good morning. How is everyone today? John Palmer, good morning and good day. Good day to you, sir. Good day to you. Hunter over on Twitch. Thanks for popping in. Hunter, thanks for swinging in on Twitch. I got to message you maybe today about some things. We'll see. Good morning, Jamie. Off-Grid Ping. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. And Canadian Farmstead, good morning. Frosted Flakes ad. What? Why? One step closer. Good morning, Jeremy. How we doing? Thanks for popping in. Appreciate you stopping by. Canadian Farmstead says he sees red. We got red. We got 66,388 on the Bitcoin price this morning. Man, it's down 1.5% over the last 24 hours. So not horrible. Do we need to change up the ducks? Maybe teddy bear duck. We'll see what happens here. We'll get teddy bear duck and lamb duck, sheep duck. Mini duck was not doing it. So all right, we got new players in the game over there. We'll see if that helps. I don't know if we'll get it to pop up to green during the show. We need a 1.5% increase during the show. We'll see. Hunter says, you finally found out and now I'm in trouble. No, nothing bad. One step closer says, I bet no matter who wins, it goes green after the election. Dude, it'll probably go green this afternoon. Pip in says, good morning, humans. Finding out work hired an inventory company whose people who don't know how to count. Weird. Canadian Farmstead, thanks for the change the duck luck. And I concur with Canadian Farmstead, Pip. Counting is hard. Do you let them take their shoes off, or just using their fingers? Good morning, Jim, over on Noster. Thanks for popping in, and as always, that zap is much appreciated. Much appreciated. I wonder if my balance is going to drop today. I might be getting a message in the middle of the thing that my sats drop below 500 or whatever it is. Oh, all right. Vertical feed. How we doing there? We got a bunch popping in there. Drop comment. What do you got going on today? Thanks for stopping in. Good morning, Rewilder Life. Thanks for swinging in. I appreciate you every day. So I don't know. What do we want to talk about first? Do we want to talk about an unlikely hazard? Well, not necessarily. Rualer Life says the packing has begun. Exit strategy initiated. Fantastic. I am so happy for you. You don't understand. As I've been watching you, we have like this synchronicity, I guess, in kind of our what's going on in our lives, and things aren't exactly the same, but they're close enough in the ideals. And man, watching your progress and watching things happen for you just it makes me happy. It makes me happy. It makes me super super excited. Canadian Farmstead says anytime someone says, "Hey, we need to talk later," I reply, "Yes, we really do," because I don't want to be the only one feeling stressed. That is a fantastic strategy. That is I've done similar. Studio 314 official. Good morning. I can't hear you for some reason. You got to turn your volume up. Yeah, unmute yourself. Jim, can you hear me over on Noster? Are you got your ears on over there, Jim? Studio 314 official saying that there's no volume over on Noster. I was just wondering if you could give me a thumbs up if you're able to hear me. Jim just usually swings in, drops a zap and heads out, I think. But anyway. Studio 314 official. There we go. I had the volume up. Must have been a glitch. Sweet. I appreciate you stopping by. Oh, I had to refresh. I appreciate you stopping by. Do you follow me there on Noster, or are you just swinging through on Zap.stream? Are you using Amethyst, or how you seeing the show? I appreciate you stopping regardless. Mike's Homestead said had no volume on the vertical. Interesting. What the fuck is going on? Is there volume on the main feed? It all comes from the same. Hey, thanks for the Zap Studio. I appreciate that. It all comes from the same fucking source. Oh, you're watching on No Strudel. Nice. I've messed around a little bit with No Strudel, not a whole lot. Man, I'm dyed in the wool Amethyst, and I use it exclusively on my phone, and I tinker around with other clients, but I don't know what's going on. Take the ride. Says what's going on? Sound is great. John Palmer checks in with a sound check. A Canadian Farmstead says worst mime ever. Oh, who invited that guy? Anyway, let's talk about Canadians. We'll start with the Canadians. So Wilder Life says I'm skipping a bit. Oh Jesus. Starlink is I think Starlink might be fucking with me. I'm just getting you used to the Friday show before we get out there. So when the interwebs are perfect, when we get out there and the show goes off without a hitch, you're gonna be like, oh, he must not have gone to the cabin. I don't know if I told you guys yesterday that I got all the trees cleared out, so that is a go. Corey and I are going to be going out Thursday night, getting set up, and Friday morning live from Delinquent Scully, the TheLOTSProject morning show. So that'll be a new adventure. So that'll be fun. So as you guys know, Corey and I will catch a movie on Amazon Prime in the evening. Oh, Jim joins the fun over on YouTube also. Thanks for that. Corey and I watch a movie on Amazon Prime in the evening, or some old TV shows, things like that. We don't have any sort of new TV. We don't pay extra for any of the streaming services other than the Amazon Prime we get with our we get for the shipping and all that shit. You know, it just comes with it. I don't get it for the for the streaming. We get it for the packages and the deliveries. And hey, thanks for the follow, man. I appreciate that over on Noster. So we run through a lot of the stuff that's any good. And so we made a big old playlist of movies, and we've been kind of grabbing a movie every evening and watching it after we kind of wind down. And we were rolling through our list. Corey has also been working on getting steps every day. She got a new Garmin watch, new Garmin tracker, and she's been keeping track of her steps, and she may be a little obsessed with it. I don't know. Maybe she's just dedicated, and that comes off as a little obsessive to me. I appreciate it. I just make fun of her a little bit because at like lunchtime, if she's not up to where her steps need to be, she'll start doing she'll like march in place, which is great. I mean, I'm super proud of her for doing that kind of shit. I'd be like, yeah, maybe I'll get them today, or maybe I won't. But I guess while I'm not here, she comes in and she'll throw something on Amazon Prime and watch it while she marches in place in the camper. She does it normally outside if I'm here, because it bounces the camper a little bit, you know, just because we're so wobbly. And so the other night I was looking through the watch list and the continue watching when we were trying to pick out what we were going to watch for the evening, and I see a show we had watched before, and it was on the watch list. I was like, is this still on here? Like, we watched the whole season. This was back when we were in Minnesota. I don't even think we were in the camper yet when we watched. Did we watch that when we were back in Minnesota, Corey? Yeah, so a while ago. So I was surprised it was still on the watch list. But have you guys ever watched Highway Through Hell? Highway Through Hell, I think is what it's called. About the highways up in British Columbia. It's fantastic. It's no, it's not. It's really. Don't watch it on the suggestion from me that it's a good quality television show. It's I laugh my ass off at it, and it's fun to jerk around. So John Palmer says the tow trucks. Yeah. One Step Closer says, is it crazier than ice road truckers? It's different. I was never a big ice road trucker guy. It is on in the laundromat when I go do laundry every once in a while. John Palmer says it's a decent show. It's a decent show. Like, I get kind of geeked out on the tow truck recovery. So these guys are doing heavy wrecker recovery and extreme, like, cliff, like, they're in the mountains. And so the majority of the wreckers are like semis, or as they say, semis, and multiple trailers, whole pileups on the highway, shit like that. So I kind of geek out about the physics and how they get it done. So that's probably why we originally turned it on. The Canadian, though, in it doesn't stop. And I get a chuckle every time they say something good. Last night made me think of putting it on the show list, because one of the most Canadian things I've heard on a TV show, Canadian Farm says they pull the semi out. Yeah, right there on the highway. And so what was going on was a tractor trailer had spun out. So it's on the Coke. I think it's the Coke highway. Huh? the Coquihalla Highway and the Trans-Canadian Highway. Maybe they're the same thing. I don't know. There's several different wrecker crews that they follow around. Nasty roads. It gets really bad. It's got it, like they say, it's one of the worst highways, and it's like the internet. It's the trucking route through there. So lots of accidents. Lots of we shut it down. They do a lot of tow ups. Like they'll pull trucks up the hill because they just can't make it up the hill, and the wreckers come out and help them. So last night there was this truck that had kind of spun out on the road, and it got hung up on the guardrail. So the trailer was kind of messed up. The truck was like on the guardrail instead of going over and going down this huge hill. Like all the sides of the highways are all like super steep and 50, 100, 150, 5,000 feet down. John Palmer says, I love the one where he gets the new truck and it starts falling apart within 15 minutes of picking it up. Yeah, okay, so the main guy there, his name is Jamie Davis, and he's got Jamie Davis towing, and this dude is a complete toolbox. But this particular one was another guy, old timer, been around, he'd been around a ton. His employee, this guy's name's Al. His helper employee that shows up with him all the time, Canadian as could be, named Gord. And there's actually there's several Gords on the show. And so Al and Gord were there, and the truck was like hung up on the guardrail, and he's looking down the hill, down this like 500 foot drop off down into the trees down there, and he says something to the effect of a good thing this guardrail's here. He'd been down there feeding with the moose in the waller, don't you know? And I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what did he say? Feeding with the moose down in the waller. I didn't know what that was. But yeah, on and on and on all the time. If you hear their crosstalk, when there'll be like two guys on the wreckers and they're talking to each other, communicating with each other, trying to figure it out. I hear all the Canadian come out. Oh man, they're fantastic. That Jamie Davis though, he's an interesting character. I can't figure out where we are in the show though. Rewilder Life says that's northern Michigan speak. Yeah, and Minnesota. I mean, both of us were north of Canada. So they're in British Columbia. Were we north of British Columbia? Rewilder Life was Minnesota. Anybody got a map handy? Studio 314 over on Noster says, I've been doing horror movies every night this month. I mean, that makes sense. But Corey and I watched the whole thing like straight through, that whatever was on there. And I don't know if it was still playing when we stopped watching it. But yeah, we turned it on here, and I would assume my wife started it on episode 1 of season 1. Last night we pulled up the thing to watch it, and it said like season 8, episode 3. And so I'm trying to figure out where we're at. I gotta dig in a little bit, because I would hate to skip the first 7 seasons of that show. Jim says, we have some UP friends. They're pretty much Canadians. So sad. Yeah, but they're on the right side of history. Maybe. I mean, I was north of Canadian Farmstead when we were in Minnesota, so there is that. Rewilder Life says, no, they're north of us above Washington State. Yeah, I know where British Columbia is, but I didn't know Minnesota, if that juts up above Washington. I can't remember when we took our trip across. It's close. I mean, it's close enough. It's close enough. Um, yeah. So if you get a chance to check out, if you're on Amazon Prime and you want to check out a pretty decent show, pull up Highway Through Hell and yeah, learn something. Learn something. I mean, the recoveries and the physics are fantastic. I did that a little tiny bit. I was exposed to it. No, I didn't expose myself to it. I was exposed to it in high school. I worked at a gas station that had record service, so you absorb a little bit here and there. You learn from the guys. John Palmer says they're almost as far up as Toolman. Tim, yeah, Tim is quite a big ways up there. I think get up there in the oil patch is a little further. So that's going to be my Canadian for the nightly entertainment. I think Corey and I'll be watching that quite a bit, and I'll be bringing you any real good things that come out of it, bud. So that was what we were watching last night. I hit a little clickbait yesterday. Old habits die hard, guys. You guys, any guesses on what I clicked on? It had nothing to do. It was sports ball. It was sports ball. So I grew up from the womb a Buffalo Bills fan. Went to a ton of games. Went to all the playoff games through the home playoff games through the 4 years they went to the Super Bowl. Had my heart broken as an adolescent as they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. I think I was probably in middle school. So that was in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. So I was 11, 12, 13 years old, exactly when all that depression and anxiety and hopes and getting hopes up and then having them smashed to pieces at the last second 4 times in a row. It did a number on me, guys. That's why I am the way I am. Anyway, I continue to follow. I continue to follow football very closely. Played a ton of fantasy football all the way through, up until. Canadian Farm says it wasn't the Buffalo Sabres because that's impossible to clickbait at the moment. How the Maple Leafs playing this year? I don't even know. I haven't looked at a hockey score. Has hockey started? I think I saw Tim and Tim went to the home opener. But anyway, I was a Sabres fan also, but football was really my thing. It isn't anymore. As I progressed in life, as I realized that how much time I was dumping into it, how much it affected my life, my mood, my day-to-day living, and that it didn't matter really in the end. Bread and circuses, you kind of figure shit out, and a lot of shit becomes insignificant. Regardless, old habits die hard. Old habits die hard, and I still keep up with them. One, my dad's still a huge fan, and I like to talk to him about it. And Ruwila Life says I would have been scary on a pair of hockey skates. I've been a hockey skates. I played roller hockey. Roller blades were coming of age when I was when I was a kid. So I did play a little bit of roller hockey. Did some ice skating later. But anyway, Canadian Farm says it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's weird. They lose or they win, and even if I don't know if they lose or they win, my day is still the same. It's weird when you disconnect from that. I don't let something like that affect my mood for days on end anymore. And so anyway, I still keep up with the stuff. I still have a couple of feeds on my Facebook that that show the Bills news feed, just to stay in the loop enough. I could have a good conversation with my dad, and I would like to see them succeed at one point in my life. If they won the Super Bowl, I'd be happy. So yesterday, I'm scrolling through Facebook looking for some stuff, some I joined a bunch of new groups that I'm figuring out with the new podcast I'm setting up, and up pops this thing about the Bills' new stadium, and something that is in the old stadium that will likely be missing from the new stadium. Now, the Bills have been constructing a new stadium basically across the parking lot. They're building a new stadium across the parking lot. I probably need it. Like, the stadium they're playing in was built in the 80s, so now that's 40 plus years old. They've renovated it, blah 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 blah, and all that shit. So they're building a new one, regardless of if it was good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, if they paid for it privately, that would be fine, but I don't think the taxpayers need to pay for a new stadium. And so I'm scrolling through and I see the clickbait headline. There's something that might be missing from the new Bills stadium. I don't even know the name of it. What sponsor paid a shitload of money for it? One step closer says, so a city with money. The city isn't financing it. I'm pretty sure whole New York State is financing it, because they are really the only football team in New York State. The stupid ass fucking Giants and the Jets, they just take the name. They're fucking New Jersey teams. Screw that shit. But yeah, I do agree that we probably don't need to be building stadiums. That's one of the things that got me out of Hennepin County in Minnesota, was their incessance to fund stadiums through county taxes when I didn't attend the events. So anyway, I was curious. I spent a lot of time in that stadium growing up. I spent a lot of time in the parking lot, at tailgate parties, at the practice facilities, going to games there, wandering around the stadium, shit like that. I went to a lot of games growing up. So I was curious what they would call out enough to write a news article about it. The one step closer says that's okay. In Texas, suburbs borrow $100 million to build a high school stadium. Yeah, Texas is fond of their football, especially their high school football. I don't know what it is about this Texans and watching high school kids run around in tight pants. Jeremy, can you explain that? Dallas Cowboys are in Arlington, right? That's at least still in the state of Texas. So I click on the thing and I'm reading the article, and it was about the Ring of Fame. So in Buffalo, when they retire a player's number, and it's most stadiums, the stadium's kind of an oval or a ring. When they retire their number, they would put their number and their name, and they usually do it at a halftime ceremony. And I've attended a shitload of them. I've been at the games when One step closer says, no, in high school I had adults spending time watching us wrestle in singlets, but $20 is $20. Dude, they were watching, but you were doing it. Canadian Farm says love when my money goes to build arena where the cheap tickets are like $90 and a beer costs 17, right? That's right in your wheelhouse, right? That's why you were able to give them the extra money. And Jim says the best part of the NFL is it's not for profit. The NFL is in itself, but I'm pretty sure the owners are not included in that, are they? I just saw an owner that retired recently or sold his team and his net worth. I was just like, okay. Anyway, the Ring of Fame. The Ring of Fame. Any of you guys probably, none of you are probably Bills fans. But do you have any idea where there might be some controversy in the Ring of Fame moving from the old stadium to the new stadium? Jim says, so they're not paying taxes. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, they would just get extra money from the public to pay their taxes, regardless. One Step Closer says, at Dallas Cowboys games, parking costs over $85. Jesus, that's just stupid. One Step Closer nails it. O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson is on the Wall of Fame in Buffalo. On the Ring of Fame, excuse me. O.J. Simpson was inducted into the Ring of Fame in Buffalo in 1980. I think he was one of the first or first few players inducted into the Ring of Fame. So there's a big controversy now whether when they move the retired numbers to the new stadium, if they bring OJ with them, if they put OJ up on the wall. John Palmer says, this isn't that Johnny Cash song. Yeah, it Ring of Fame. Ring of Fame was that famous Johnny Cash song. He fell down into a burning ring of fame. Canadian Farmstead says the Ring of Fame was his prison name. Maybe. Good morning, Seattle. Good morning to you, sir. Thanks for stopping in. You got Spanish commercials. Weird. I think are you way behind? Are you going to be commenting on what I was saying a half an hour ago? Are you watching from the beginning or are you live? So here was the thing. Hunter says he's not guilty, right? I'm kind of in the in the camp that OJ probably covered up for his kid. One Step Closer says OJ could really slash through the defenses. Ha! Ha! I am pretty confident. I shouldn't say pretty confident. Michael Williams, huge Bills fan here. Nice, my man. Nice. Really? Where are you from? Are you from the area? How did you become a Bills fan? I think that OJ probably covered for his kid. The more that comes out, we'll never really know because he's dead now. And I doubt his kid's gonna come out. I did it. Like it died with his dad. Take Their Eye says OJ did it. Hunter says it makes a better story if he's covering for his kid. I just don't think he gave a shit about his ex and her boyfriend that much. Like there was, I mean, it all kind of faded away, but it's not like she was cheating on him and he came home in a fit of rage and found his wife boning some, and she was ex at that point, I'm pretty sure, found his ex boning some new dude or something. From what I understand, they knew each other and it had been going on, and it wasn't that it wasn't there wasn't strife there. Could be wrong, but at this point it doesn't matter. John Palmer says it doesn't matter what you do, it matters what they can prove. Right. Michael Williams grew up in Buffalo, near Buffalo my whole life, went through all the down seasons. Those Super Bowls were depressing. Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. At the two Super Bowls against the Cowboys, I actually hung a replica Emmitt Smith in the tree in the front yard of my house. And looking back on it, if I didn't live in a rural Western New York town that didn't know any different, I would have probably could have probably been brought up on hate crimes, especially in today's day and age, if it had happened. So, Jim's grew up going to Jets games. Sorry. I apologize for that. Anyway, so here's the question. It might have been clickbait. Ruila's living in Michigan with the Lions. The Lions are going all the way this year, I think. I don't know. I saw that they beat the Minnesota Vikings, that they were doing good. They were really good this year or something, and now they're gonna fucking blow their load like they do every year. My question that came up from the article is, are Hall of Fames, are Ring of Fames, are retired numbers, are all these things that sports teams do for their the athletes that make them their money, or they achieve extra, or whatever the reasoning is that awarded for being a good athlete, or is it awarded for being a good person? Because I'm pretty sure after interacting, and I shouldn't say the majority, a lot of these guys are complete fucking twat waffles. Like, complete and utter assholes. They aren't good people. They're focused on one thing, and they're not being paid to be good people. They're being paid to be animals, basically. One Step Closer says NFL BS and cowboy futility the last 30 years have drove me away from the NFL. The NFL and I just parted ways for a bunch of different reasons. Canadian Farmstead says, how bad a thing do you have to do to get removed? Like, maybe go to trial for murdering your ex-wife and her lover? I don't know. But, like, I look at it and say, so you got O.J. Simpson. I was trying to think, and it didn't matter enough for me to actually, like, look into it and dive into it heavily, but Pete Rose just died recently. Do you know who Pete Rose is? I know we're not talking football, we're talking baseball now. I sorry, I'm changing up sports, and yeah, Pete Rose. Same concept though. What criteria does a player get voted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame for? Is it for his sins? Is it because he liked to gamble? Is it because he was a phenomenal hitter, a base stealer, a player coach, player manager? Was it the records he held as a baseball player? Or was it because he decided to bet on baseball? because he liked to gamble, which was completely legal, other than the fact that he happened to be a baseball player. And he still claimed that he never bet on his own team. So at that point, if Pete Rose was a compulsive gambler, but only bet on football and hockey and horse racing, should he be in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame? Hunter says, would you not want to bet on your own team? Usually it's they're betting against their own team, or they're betting against the spread and shaving points. That's the betting. I think betting on your own team should be completely legal, because that's the objective, is to go out and win. So if I get, it's like getting a bonus when you do your job. But what is the, why are we mixing? Why are we taking the accomplishments of someone in one area of their life and bleeding it over into other areas? So if there's a mediocre player in one of these sports leagues, mediocre, middle of the road, maybe a little above average, but nothing spectacular. Maybe he's got a couple championships because he happened to be on teams and he contributed a little bit, so his name. Maybe played a real long time, but wasn't, didn't hold records, wasn't phenomenal. But man, off the field, this guy was a saint. He helped people. He gave away his whole salary. He was the best dude you'd ever find. So nice. Do you put him in the Hall of Fame because he was a good guy? Or would you say, yeah, I really don't think he doesn't have the sports merit to put him in there? So is this a double-edged sword? If you're really good at the sport, but you're a shitty human being, you're not allowed to be in. But if you're a mediocre player and the best people on the face of the earth, that doesn't get you in. Jim says, let's talk about the morality clauses. Yeah. One Step Closer said, I never understood that. Baseball basically encouraged juicing in the 80s and 90s, but won't let Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame. That was also my wheelhouse as far as growing up. So I was big into NFL and then Major League Baseball. I grew up in a house. My dad was a huge Yankees fan, had been his whole life. My grandma actually indoctrinated me into being a New York Mets fan. But my dad and I traveled, went to a bunch of different stadiums, went to Major League Baseball games. My uncle was a long time usher at the Pittsburgh Pirates stadium. And so I dove into my share of baseball. I thought it was phenomenal to watch Barry Bonds. I watched Barry Bonds when he played for the Pittsburgh Pirates before he went to the Giants and started the juice. Yeah. John Palmer says sports are just like the modern day Roman Coliseum. It is. I mean, and it's getting that way. I talked about it a month or two ago about the juiced Olympics, the enhanced Olympics, where they're going to encourage steroids. Everybody there is going to be on performance enhancing drugs. And likely, I'm pretty sure someone's going to kill someone or multiple people. And that might be what the crowd wants. But they're saying human athletes could be a lot better if we let them use drugs. Mike Homestead says you make up an award like the Walter Payton Man of the Year, right? Jim says corking bats, pine tar, such stupid things to whine about. Oh, the George Brett clip though. George Brett, when they smoked him for the pine tar too high on the bat. Oh my God, that was phenomenal. Where he came like out of the dugout like a crazed man. I thought he was gonna just punch the fucking umpire. Take the ride, sarcasm ball. Baseball was the sport I got to attend the most. Yeah, I went to a lot of. We had minor league baseball around. It's probably pretty close to the number of NFL games versus the number of Major League Baseball games I've been to. I've been to way more baseball stadiums than I have NFL stadiums. I've only been to 3 now, I think, NFL stadiums. I've been to half dozen or more, probably way more baseball stadiums. So, good morning. Seattle says Yankees have been playing well, and Jim says, let's go Mets. Yeah, my fucking Mets. I was hoping for the Subway Series so I could bust the old man's balls when the Mets beat him, even though I didn't watch 1 inning, 1 out, or read 1 box score until the other day when they were down 3-2 or 3-2 in the series against the Dodgers. So yeah, let's go Mets. Good morning. Seattle says bread and circuses why the UFC is killing it. True. For true. Rewilder life is Rewilder life says, am I the only one who watches gymnastics? That's my sport to watch. I'll watch gymnastics if it's on. Only one gender though. And it's probably not because I'm watching the gymnastics. I'm watching the young ladies fly through the air. Are they old enough? Are they mostly 18, or do they trot out little girls to do all that flexible stuff in the little leotards? I changed my mind if they're under 18. And here's Jim. I can't watch gymnastics anymore. I feel like the creepy old guy. You're right. Yeah. There was something else on the other day. I was like, I probably shouldn't be watching this. I can't think of. Real Other Life says you have to be 16 for the Olympics. So we need to move to Arkansas or wherever the age of consent's a little lower than most civilized states. Is that Alabama, Arkansas? Where is the age of consent 16? I think it's 14 somewhere, isn't it? Oh, anyway, that's the sports ball. That's the sports Oklahoma. What's the age of consent in Oklahoma, John? 8? Oklahoma's 16. All right. Well, John's watching gymnastics every night. Oh, Rewild Life with the save says most of our team is old. Simone Biles is like 26. It's like ancient. Yeah, I figured they were done by the time they were 18. Anyway, well, 16 will get you 20. Yeah, for sure. We used to have an over under night at the bar I used to go to. I was of age to drink, but they had a 16 plus dance night. What could go wrong? It was like a hole in the wall biker bar, and every Wednesday night they allowed 16 plus in there. So why would they think this was a good idea? But we figured out how to vet the age of the young ladies that we were interested in pursuing by asking them to go buy us a pack of cigarettes across the parking lot at the gas station. And if they said they're not old enough, you knew they weren't 18. John Palmer says there's also a thing about a 5-year age difference. That could get sticky. Jim says, oh my God, fish in a barrel. Right. I can't talk about that place very much. Oh, anyway, there was one other thing I had on my list today, and then I have some other spot articles here that we could talk about. But I was over in one of the Telegram groups yesterday. I'm not sure which one it is. Might have been TSP Land Group or I don't know which one it was, but a community member was talking about somebody had posted an article, and then there was a discussion about the toxic mud that they're dealing with in North Carolina and Tennessee from the Helene flooding. Toxic mud because waste treatment plants were flooded and overrun. So there's poo everywhere. There's poo in it. There's waste streams, public utility waste streams everywhere, and mixing with the mud, and it's just it's fluid. It spreads everywhere, and that's kind of what they were talking about was a lot of the waste treatment, the sewage plants, public utilities like that. My mind immediately went to industrial waste. And I think they were talking a little bit about that too, with like chemical plants and things like that. The big obvious ones that are out there that you don't want to be downstream of. The nuclear power plant, you probably don't want to be downstream of. And that's what the post that got me thinking about it said was, you really, when you're looking for property or when you're at your property and you're trying to be prepared, you really need to look at a topographical map and see what's upstream of you, what's going to flow, what's going to roll downhill. And John Palmer says, like the PVC plant, right? What's uphill of you that's going to roll downhill? Oh, okay. Good morning, Seattle said PVC plant lost all its component tanks. That's a blip on the radar to me. And that's immediately what I thought about was, I'm guessing, and then after the fact, you obviously can figure it out because you're doing testing and you're like, oh my God, this mud is so full of X, Y, Z, all the other shit. What I immediately thought of was being in industrial manufacturing for a long time of my career. In maintenance, in plant operations, in different things, but all across probably five different industries. If you wanted to do your due diligence and you wanted to know all the things that could affect you upstream, you'll never know. You will never know. Take Their Eyes says PVC chems are nasty. They are very nasty. But I've been in 4 different wastewater treatment facilities, wastewater treatment departments. As a maintenance guy, you get familiar with all the machines in the whole factory usually. 4 different industries, 4 different types of contaminants, 4 different storage methods, and all 4 of them I wouldn't want to be downstream of. I wouldn't want to be downstream of any of them, but would you assume that the 200 foot by 200 foot concrete building in an office park would be housing some of the nastiest chemicals that could flow down through any flooding? I think back to the setup, and now they're not in a flood zone, but a lot of North Carolina that suffered flooding wasn't a flood zone either. But that little concrete building that I worked in, you might, if you dug in deep enough, you would probably be like, oh, that's a plating shop. So he did electroplating. Unsuspecting building with a shitload of chemicals in it. I did actually run the wastewater facility in that building. I know how much they stored and how long they could store it because I was in charge of it. I got the MPCA inspections, I got the EPA inspections, I handled all those inspectors, I managed the waste streams. At any one time in this tiny shop, we had 6 plating lines, 8 plating lines, 6 active, and then another sorry guys. Our friend Max Melbourne stopped by again on the vertical feed and says, "Hey brother, Max again from Australia. I was attacked by 2 kangaroos yesterday. I didn't expect their wrestling to be so good. Anyway, I spent 8 hours in the hospital while being treated for deep cuts." You didn't get an answer to your Trump versus Harris question because you didn't drop a super chat, my man. So we had 6 plating lines, 8 plating lines, 6 active lines, and then a reel-to-reel machine, which basically they put gold onto cell phone parts. It just rolled through on a big reel. So in the basement of this facility, so which is going to flood first? What's going to go sideways first? In the basement, we would have, let's say right before our shipment would go out, because we would ship it out on trucks. And that's another thing. You don't know what's driving past you. You don't know what's on the highway. You don't know what's in that truck that just rolled over. We would load probably 4 dozen 55-gallon drums of highly toxic, highly contaminatable drums of liquid. Do you know what one chemical they use in plating that in gold plating that you probably wouldn't want 55-gallon drums of it floating by your fucking house, or even floating anywhere near your house and possibly springing a leak or getting punctured and draining out? There were 55-gallon drums of cyanide in that shop. There was hexchrome. There was all sorts of contaminants. Now, we process them properly. Sorry, I got an itch on my leg. We processed them properly. We treated them properly. We disposed of them in the way that we needed to. Good morning, Seattle says mercury. We didn't have any mercury in our shop. We were good stewards of the earth. But when shit goes sideways, that's all done. Your storage turns into a fountain of nastiness. Good morning, Seattle says, who's downstream of that? Downstream of that plating shop? Minneapolis. The Mississippi River. Yeah. So that's the plating shop. The plating shop was probably pretty obvious. That there's chemicals there. The amount of chemicals that are there for the size of the facility is kind of skewed. I don't think you would think in a building that size. Yeah. I mean, we also had huge drums of oh fuck. The name escapes me. Oh, good morning, Seattle. Says no, you shipped it off. Where did it go to? Different chemical processing facilities with bigger capabilities than us. Basically they go and they use it's not nuclear waste. They can bind it with other chemicals to make it inert. They can do all sorts of different shit. Some of it gets buried in containers. Like, it goes a lot of different places. The one facility that I think people would have been surprised by the amount of nastiness would have probably been the concrete factory that I worked at. I worked at a concrete factory that built the prefab, pre-stressed panels that they, you see them building buildings, and they're setting long panels of concrete down for the sides. Manufactured the big long planks that they would make parking ramps out of, shit like that. Jim says, I read a study about iron being used to abate lead. Iron binds. There's a lot of things you can do with some nasties, and then some of it you just have to store. It's all science. The concrete factory had three wastewater treatment streams in there. And it wasn't necessarily the chemicals that we were using. It was the chemicals we were using to treat the chemicals we were using. I guess there were 500-gallon tanks of sulfuric and hydrochloric acid that we used. Hunter says it's science. Yes, it was science. It is science. There was caustic soda, like thousands of gallons of caustic soda. And it was weird that we were using chemicals that were bunny air quotes, right? There were the chemicals I felt. Well, I guess this was to me and not the environment. I felt that the chemicals we were using to treat our waste streams were probably worse off than the chemicals that we would have been dispatching into the waste streams. But through science, they neutralized each other. Take Their Eyes says a lot of big companies just dump their waste into the waterways. 3M got sued for dumping a shit into the Tennessee River. Yeah, it becomes a balancing act of the cost of treatment versus the cost of the fine. They see no moral. Well, I shouldn't say all of them. At some point, the morality goes out of the window of what you're doing downstream. Let's just say, after being in wastewater treatment facilities, being in industrial waste and management, and working at basically a mini refinery in an office park in the suburbs of Minneapolis that's closed now, so you don't need to worry about it. But there's a lot of nasties are out there. I don't eat shit out of the river. Let's just say that. Any river. Any river. After learning about aquifers in the gas industry and how far hydrocarbons can travel in underwater aquifers, it really makes you wonder what's in your water. There's an aquifer running from northern Minnesota to Chicago. there was a lake draining when they did a bridge or a tunnel project in Chicago. I think I've talked about this before. The trainer I had in Chicago for my gas tech manufacturer training had been a gas tech in Chicago for 50 years. He had a lot of connections. He had a lot of buddies around there, and they were doing a tunnel project where they were digging under the river. A river, I'm not sure which river, but they were putting a tunnel under it, and his friend was the project manager for it. He's like, "Hey, let's go down. I'll take you down in." Like, it wasn't finished. It was just like the hole they were drilling underneath the ground, underneath the river. And he invited him to go down, and so they were driving down into it. And as they were driving into this hole, there's just water running out of the top of this thing, and my trainer said, what the fuck is going on here? Is that the river leaching through? Is this gonna let loose at some point and flood out? And the guy's like, no, it's not from the river. We can't figure out where it's coming from, but it's not coming from the river. So they kept working on the project, and they were just managing the water flow that was draining into this tunnel, and they were pumping it up and pumping it into the river. So it went on and on. They didn't figure out where the water was coming from, and there was a geological paper written, or a study done, or somehow the lead engineer on this tunnel project became aware of someone having issues in Minnesota with a fucking lake draining. And they put the numbers together, and they figured out that it started about the time they started digging this tunnel. And there was an aquifer that ran from northern Minnesota to Chicago, and they were draining the lake through the aquifer into the tunnel. They had tapped into the edge of this aquifer and were draining the lake. The water was going down in Minnesota. So where's your water come from? It really, and I think this was really what it was meant to do, was really solidify the fact as a gasoline tech, and as someone that was charged with testing for leaks, testing for environmental safety. We were really stewards of everybody's water. It's not just the spill at the gas station down the road that you got to worry about. It might be the spill 4 states away that's running in a river or an aquifer, or who God knows how it's getting there. I wouldn't pass I wouldn't pass borderline people. There are a lot of unscrupulous people in the gas industry that will pass some things that they probably shouldn't have. And that was one thing I stood firm on. And I was willing to go to unemployment court about it. So there's that. Wildlife Life says it's why meat is good. Animals have detox systems. Plants just take it up and you can ingest it. And animals have an uncanny ability not to eat things they shouldn't. Jim says they're learning that it might be better to leave the bottom of rivers alone instead of dredging them, trying to clean them. Hudson River's a mess. Chesapeake Bay studies are interesting. And they don't want to find a lot of the stuff that's in the river, especially around New York City. Good Morning Seattle says our water comes from the mountain 30 miles away. Some of it, maybe all of it. Are you sure? Do they capture it? Do they capture it on the surface, or do they capture it through a well? Jim says that's what makes me wonder about eating liver and kidneys. I'd rather eat 2 small fish over 1 big one, less mercury. I loved rabbit liver. Never really got into kidneys. Rabbit liver was phenomenal. And when you shot a deer, I didn't eat the liver. If I had possession of the animal, I was confident in the liver. if I knew where the animal was raised, I knew how it was treated and what it ate approximately, I was in for the liver. Jim says if it looked good, we ate it. Yeah, I mean, when you control their feed source, the liver is fantastic, especially when you're feeding them clean. Wilder Life says the system doesn't hold it at purchase. It depends on what it is, from what I understand. Could be wrong. Look at all the Comfrey studies they did. Wilder Life says the bones store crap, though. Yeah, there's a half-life of everything in any system. The body purges chemicals, but at what rate? And at what rate compared to as how much it accumulates it, and for how long and what age the animal is. Fat holds a lot of stuff that you don't want. Take the Ride says makes me want to set up more water catchment and storage. Acid rain, man. Acid rain. Oh, we'll have to talk about it tomorrow because I don't have time today, but the new climate scare that has been popping up on my feed more than once now. We'll probably have to talk about it. The Gulf Stream is going to stop flowing. The Gulf Stream is going to stop. Rewild Life says, yes, my point was animals can do this. Your plants do not. I don't know. There are plants that are great filter media. The Gulf Stream is going to stop flowing, guys. And the first line of this article, I'll save the rest of the chat for another. In the 2004 film The Day After Tomorrow, the world is plunged into a new ice age after climate change leads to the collapse of the Gulf Stream. Here we go. Yeah. New thing to worry about. Hunter says, remind me to send the porta potty guy a Christmas card. Phenomenal clean and restock job. Oh, nice. Do you guys get your porta potty guy anything? We used to buy him a present, not a card. We used to like buy him a bottle of whiskey at the one place I worked at because we were so far away from the main restroom that the company paid to have a porta potty outside our office or our offices because we couldn't leave for long enough to go use the shitter. So they put a porta potty right there for us. And we used to go in and buy him presents every year because we felt bad for him. Real Life says, does that mean we'll get a good winners again? If the Gulf Stream collapses, I'm pretty sure that means that the northern half of the earth is frozen or some shit. I don't know. I'll read the article. I'll figure it all out, and we'll talk about it another day. Hunter says we bounce job sites like every 2 weeks, if not faster. That's because you work too fast, man. You work too fast. Anyway, quarter after, it's time to wrap it up. Hope you had an enjoyable chat this morning, and you have a fantastic hump day. New podcast is coming soon. Got that up and listed. Got my calendar published over on Podmatch, and I got enough guests to make it through November and half of December already booked. Haven't haven't recorded any. That starts next week, but we're gonna knock them out. Going to be a 15 to 30-minute interview show where I talk to people about how they got where they're going, their journey to where they're at, instead of just blah 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 promotion about what they're doing now and their current ventures. Let's figure out how they got there. Should be good, should be fun. We'll see how it goes. Take the Ride says Gerald Pollack has done some interesting research with the fourth phase of water. Interesting. Pip remembers the movie. One step closer. Have a great day, guys. Make your hump day phenomenal if you get to humpity hump. Good for you. If you don't, then make it work. Make it over the hump, and you'll be on the downslide to the weekend. Yeah, my day is going to be sitting behind a computer editing video. I got a bunch of meetings, and we'll knock it out and be back with you tomorrow. Have an awesome day, guys, and we'll catch you in the morning.